Hello, nerd and nerd adjacent. I'm Dan. My Makerspace is currently closed due to the pandemic, so let's try some new things, a new format, and a new project. That's right, it's a prototype. Welcome to my corner of the internet. So I like to prototype out of things that you can buy in stores before I invest in buying the actual materials for the nice finished product. And this is an example of that. Let's take something like a bottle and let's turn it into a little carryable lantern and little scene. I actually ended up using a completely different bottle than this one, but still, I think this is a good place to start. This is made out of plastic. So let's get into it. So first things first, I got these generic dollar store solar lights for $1, and I'm gonna take it apart. So I pull out my little screws and we're gonna take apart this little cheap solar panel to access the LED and to see what the inside looks like. As you can see, as I take it apart, it's just one little motherboard and a rechargeable battery, plus the solar panel on top. So let's take it apart and see what else we can reduce. You can see I'm just putting down a mat here because I forgot to do so at the beginning. I have my just traditional box cutter with replaceable blades. It's soft plastic, I'm not too worried. Please practice safe knife skills if you're gonna do anything like this. Yeah, and I kind of go to town breaking off pieces and everything. I'm really just trying to access that solar panel without having to rewire the whole thing, because on the back it looks like it's held on by clumps of hot glue, but I'm pretty sure it's also soldered on there. So I just wanted to find the best way to get it out. I ended up actually pulling off those chunks of glue, seeing that it was soldered, and then breaking the final little bit of plastic being held in with a little screwdriver and being able to kind of crack that and pull it off. And then you have the panel. You'll see that now that I have the panel free, I'm kind of looking at what is left plastic-wise, and that we have, this plastic base that has a battery holder, and the little motherboard there, and that's it. It's a really simple circuit. It has a capacitor on it, but it's not complicated, and a rechargeable battery. So you can see the ends of the battery holder aren't even soldered into the holder. They're just slip-ins, something that I will struggle with for the rest of this because I did not want to permanently attach them either because I might get rid of the holder or change it. Wasn't sure, so I struggled a bit here. Now you can see me shine this little tiny flashlight. It is a UV flashlight. I forgot you can't trick solar panels because it's not real sun. Sucks. This is when I figured out that this lid is a little too small for what I'm trying to do, so I actually just switched to a container that's a little bit larger with a slightly larger lid, and you can notice that from here on out. It's a little different than the one that I started with, but they are both from the dollar store, and they are both plastic containers. Here I'm actually showing off my X-Acto Z-Series blades. They're supposed to be extra sharp and great for cutting through more difficult materials. This appears to be a thin aluminum, so I'm very thankful for that. As you see here, I'm just trying to figure out and how to fit the perfect way of putting the solar panel in here. If I was actually building these, I would buy a panel that fit perfectly, and I would have this hole cut out by a laser or a CNC machine. Since I'm at home, it's just me and a knife. Here you can see me hot gluing in this solar panel. It's pretty common on cheap electronics, and since I'm prototyping this by hand, I want the ability to change or remove in case I damage something in the building process. So, rusty dusty hot glue. You can see that I've moved on. I am unscrewing the motherboard from the little plastic piece, as well as cutting out the little plastic battery housing. I'm trying to make this as compact as possible. When I would build this out of prototype, I would probably buy the correct size battery housing and also possibly use a coin cell instead, just to reduce on size overall. But I'm not being picky right now, and so I am just putting it all inside of the lid of one of two lids and gluing it down, taping it, making sure everything works together, but I can also still access all the parts because this is, once again, a prototype. And now that I've switched the batteries back to the rechargeable one, I'm just making sure everything looks nice, fits well, and we're getting into the fun part now, which is combining and decorating the entire thing. Here you can just see me throwing some moss and some sticks into this little container, trying to figure out what on earth I want to do with it. I end up not doing this at all, but it looked cool, and it kind of gave me a general geographical idea. As you can see, the top, once again, is not in a fantastic shape, but it's a prototype. I'm peeling some paint off of a palette and mixing some school glue, or some PVA glue, which I bought in a gallon-sized container about 3 years ago, which I still haven't made a significant dent in, so I really am looking for projects to use it in. And I'm coating the bottom and just giving a nice solid base there, and trying to lay things in, realizing that I didn't want to wait for the PVA glue, and pulled out our trusty, our dusty hot glue gun. At this point, I'm mixing together some PVA glue and some acrylic paint to get some water effects, and from there, it's just a lot of tweaking and cleaning and slicing and cutting until I get exactly what I want. But that's not why you're here. Let's cut to the final version. So, this was filmed in the darkest room in my apartment, which is the bathroom. As you can see, it is a nice little lantern. It gives off a decent amount of light, and it's got a little scene inside of it. It is front forward facing, so it doesn't really emit light from the back due to the structure of the internal elements. But, you know, not bad. Obviously, you can see some of the wires and stuff, but that's not what makes this cool. What makes this cool, under daylight conditions, so when that solar panel's getting light, the inside will also be getting that light, which makes it glow in the dark. This is UV reactive glow powder. Thank you, Stuart Simple. And it really honestly adds a really cool depth to it. This lid has no light in it. This is just a plain top. All the light you see is being emitted by the lantern itself, and I'm pretty gosh darn proud of it. And that's how I prototype something at home. It's not the perfect process, but it's better than nothing, and it's good to flex your brain muscles. So, if you like what you saw here, please go ahead and drop a comment down below, and while you're down there, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, and then just slide over to that subscribe button and ring the bell, so you know when I put things on the internet. And just remember, I'm a LARPer, just darker.